Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Maria Milas. I'm the founder of CRA Connect community. I'm a former CRA, and of course, I am telling you everything there is to know about the clinical research associate role. So many times I was told that because I was not coming from a scientific background, I could never become a clinical research associate. For so many reasons, because maybe the sponsor would not like my profile, or maybe because the CRO would not approve my allocation to the studies that I've been allocated to by my line manager. But the reality was that when I heard about the clinical research associate role and I had so much curiosity and passion about clinical research and innovation and healthcare, I wanted to become a CRA and I wanted a clear path of what were my options on how to become a CRA. So many will tell you that if you don't come with a scientific background, you will never become a clinical research associate. And guess what? I was also told that. In this video, I want to share with you the way I became a clinical research associate with no scientific background, and maybe if you're thinking about the CRA role as your next career move, you can relate to this story. My background is actually translation and interpreting. When I finished my degree in Barcelona, I always had this curiosity if I could do more or something more related to innovation and healthcare, and I had this passion about clinical trials, and I didn't know much, but I did want to specialize a little bit more closer to healthcare. So I specialized in a master's degree in biomedical and pharmaceutical translation. So I was translating all the documents that we have in a clinical trial, the essential documents, an informed consent form, a protocol, maybe investigator brochure, from English into Spanish, which was my local language. But I wanted to do even more, and I partnered with a magazine in Spain that was specializing in news about the clinical research industry, about the pharmaceutical industry, and I was writing blogs and reading blogs about clinical trial innovation every day, all day. So when I finished that master degree, the director of the master approached me and said, Maria, I think you would be very interested in this specific role in clinical trials. And I've never heard about this role. I actually didn't even understand what the role was, but I completely blindfoldedly trusted this person and I applied to any clinical trial assistant role that I saw open on LinkedIn in Barcelona. And that's how I took my first step into clinical research as a CTA. So I started this journey in clinical trials as a CTA at ICON, a very known CRO. And as soon as I started, I learned about the CRA role and I saw that it's a role that it's even more hands-on, that you can contribute even more directly to clinical research and to bringing drugs to the market for patients who don't have any other option. So I told myself and my line manager back then, I want to become a CRA. What do I need to do? And that's when I was faced with all the struggles and all the challenges that I did not have a scientific background. I was actually coming from linguistics, so it had nothing to do with clinical research. And it was going to be very hard for me to find a role that would accept me as a CRA and also a sponsor who would accept me as the CRA monitoring their trials. So I said, what do I need to do? And I have to say that I was extremely lucky in having a line manager that was very informative and supportive and wanted to help me to become a clinical research associate. So I soon learned that there was two ways to become a CRA. One was gathering experience as a clinical trial assistant. So I was already in the role that would provide me with the knowledge, everything I needed to know in order to do that step into becoming a clinical research associate. But there was a second way. And this second way was to specialize a little bit more my background into more scientific. And that was through a master's degree in clinical trial monitoring. So I thought, because I really want to become a CRA, I'm going to do both. I'm going to stay for 1 year and I'm going to get that expertise and get that knowledge and exposure to the clinical research associate role by supporting CRAs, those CRAs that are in my study. So I was helping with documentation, with quality checks, with trackers, with keeping up to date those ETMF and ISF from the office, supporting the CRAs that were monitoring the clinical trials that I was assigned on to support this trial. And to be very honest, that 1 year as a clinical trial assistant gave me so much exposure and so much knowledge that I never had before, and it helped me so much in becoming a confident, a good CRA once I did the move into a CRA role. But I also trusted my line manager and I wanted to become a CRA as soon as possible. I wasn't in a rush, but I knew that was my target. That was my goal, to become a CRA. So I did take also a master's degree in clinical trial monitoring, which I wouldn't say that taught me a lot more that I was not learning as a clinical trial assistant at ICON at a CRO, but it complemented that knowledge that I was gathering through experience. It complemented it with regulatory, with the background of clinical research, of why we were doing clinical trials, with the development of a drug, with more of the background that I wouldn't usually have access to it as a CRA, because as a CRA, as you're so hands-on and you focus so much on learning protocol, learning regulation, and applying it, you don't always get the time to look into more depth or more into detail of why we do clinical research. Now, 1 year goes by very quickly. And after that 1 year, and I'd finished my master's degree in clinical trial monitoring, I already knocked on the door to my line manager and I said, when can I become a CRA? And at that time, Icon acquired a smaller company called MAPI, and this team was monitoring clinical trials that were observational trials. So my line manager thought that it was a great opportunity for me to go into monitoring observational trials, not because it was easier, but because it required a little bit less on-site monitoring visits, and that would give me the room and the space to get to be familiar with the CRA role without having to be on site 3 days every single week from the very beginning. And that's how I did the move. From clinical trial assistant, I moved to an SMA position that we call it, a site management associate. It's basically a CRA role, but monitoring and managing only observational clinical trials. And what about that assumption that I wouldn't be able to become a CRA if I didn't have a scientific background? I never encountered any sponsor that when looking at my experience or at my CV as a CRA, when allocating me or assigning me to be the monitor for their clinical trials, nobody ever complained. So if you are maybe finishing your bachelor degree in something related to science or to healthcare, or maybe you are a nurse, or maybe you're even a doctor, or maybe you're just passionate about clinical trials, I really believe that if you have curiosity, if you want to be a CRA, and if you want to contribute to drug development and to bringing drugs to the market and to contributing to patients' lives, basically, you can become a CRA even if you don't have scientific background. As you've seen from my experience, there's two ways to go about it. You can go through experience, so you can start with a supporting role such as clinical trial assistant or study startup associate or regulatory authorities associate, anything that is still in clinical research operations but supporting to the CRA role. And the other way is that you expose yourself to the knowledge and to the expertise of clinical research associate through courses, through specializations, through even master's degree if that's what you want to go for. But do you have to take a master's degree to become a CRA? Certainly not. Now here, let me make a note. It really depends on every single geographical location what are the requirements to become a CRA. For example, Italy is a country in where there's a specific requirement by law, a decree that says a CRA should be qualified by a specific accreditation. So if you are interested and you're located in Italy, have a look at that degree to confirm what you need to become a CRA. But the rest of countries, I have not found yet any other country that requires a person to have a master's degree in clinical trials to become a CRA. Make sure you subscribe to this channel to view more videos about the clinical research associate and tips and tricks and advice on how to become a confident and a knowledgeable and an expert CRA. Thank you for watching. Bye.